Hi, welcome back to the pod. First round of the playoffs coming to a close for some series and right in the meat of it for other series. Last night, the Timberwolves finished off the Phoenix Suns, a 4-game sweep. Anthony Edwards looking like Michael Jordan out there. That team looks very good, and Phoenix did not look very good. But it sets up what could be a slobber knocker of a second round matchup, Timberwolves and Nuggets, if the Nuggets can get past the Lakers. But we'll talk about that in a second. What did you guys see from the Timberwolves? How far do you think this run can go, Colton?
You said something that early this year would have sounded blasphemous. You said Anthony Edwards kind of was like Michael Jordan. I'm not saying he's Michael Jordan, but what would a poor man's Michael Jordan look like if not Anthony Edwards? Like he was taking over down the stretch. He had some huge poster dunks. He was hitting his pull-up mid-range
Block
fadeaways. He was
shots.
blocking shots. He was talking trash. I mean, he was all over the court. He's turning into the megawatt star that we've talked about in the past that he could become. The Timberwolves not only have good veterans like Mike Conley down the line, Rudy Gobert. They have a star. They have a secondary star. Cat played fantastic, and they have a lockdown perimeter defender in McDaniels, and he's played well on both ends. They've got bench pieces in Naz Reid and A.W. Neil Alexander Walker, and he was the one that got away from the Blazers. I really love the Timberwolves. I'm high on
Don't
them.
forget
And
Slow-Mo Anderson.
slow mo, like their team is good. They got players at every position. Hopefully their coach is okay. I saw he has
Ooh,
a torn patellar tendon in his knee. That sucks. But if that's your worst injury issue is your coach, what else can you ask for at this point? So I could see them going beating Denver, which sounds absurd to say
I
out
kind of
loud, but
can
I really
too.
could see it. It's going to be a good series if that happens.
Last week I said something along the lines of, yeah, Minnesota looks good, but I'm more disappointed in Phoenix than I am impressed in Minnesota. Last night showed me it was more of a 50-50 kind of a deal. I was equally impressed with Minnesota as I was disappointed in Phoenix. Phoenix looked like really, really trash basketball. They looked like they didn't have a game plan going in. They looked like they didn't try to plan or strategize for Minnesota at all. They looked like they were just, again, trying to figure out how to get enough shots for these three guys, and it just didn't work. Bradley Beal had a horrible game, 4 for 13, I think. 9 points or something like that. I mean, it was just not a good turnout for the stars of that team, except for Devin Booker, who got 49 points, but like half of them were from the line in fouls that may should or shouldn't have been called. I don't know, but it really slowed down the game. They didn't get any flow going. They looked really bad. Minnesota, on the other hand, looked like they had a lot of flow. They looked like they had a lot of confidence. They were very fun to watch. They were moving the ball. They were moving both on offense and defense, rotating and moving the ball around. And get Kirby and I both noted like they look the same on defense as they do on offense. They're rotating, getting the ball around the perimeter or their guys around the perimeter to where
Everyone
the
involved.
yeah, it was really good team basketball. The one thing I'll say is watch a little bit for Ant's ankles. He's got youth on his side right now, but he tweaked both ankles like 4 times last night, twice in the first half and twice in the second half. And he was getting a little gimpy. He then threw down one of the most impressive posters of the playoffs. So obviously he's doing okay. But if that like keeps going, eventually those weak ankles start to catch up with you. So it's nice for them. They've got a little time before the next
Yeah, he's
series.
got youth and time on his side. I think he'll be just fine. The I was thinking earlier, I actually told Riley how the playoffs is such a up and down thing to watch. Like every game you think it's the end of the world or they're gonna win a championship. Um, and this I think that this was just a terrible matchup for the Suns and like a perfect matchup for the Timberwolves. There's a chance we could be getting too high on the Timberwolves right now, potentially, because they just completely out rebounded the crap out of the Suns. The Suns had no matchup for Cat, they had no matchup for Gobert. They had, completely outsized The Timberwolves had all these wing defenders to throw at the Suns superstars. It was just, I think a lot of it had to do with matchup and the Suns just, as we've discussed for a long time, not really having the right players in place, kind of three guys who do the same thing. Timberwolves have a lot of guys who do very different things. Conley playing the heady point guard role, um, Cat being the stretch big, Gobert being the defensive anchor down low, all the wing defenders, then obviously Ant being the superstar. But if they do match up against the Nuggets, that's going to be a different story. Nuggets have a lot of size to throw at them. They're not going to be probably not going to be out offensive rebounding them by, doubling up their offensive rebounds every game, getting way more possessions when you got Joker and Aaron Gordon down there. That's going to be a complete war if that happens. If it happens, but hear me out, Nuggets, don't let the Lakers get another one tonight. If they allow LA back in this game, if they allow LeBron any momentum and some of the guys start getting going, D'Angelo Russell pulls his head out and starts hitting his shot. Austin Reeves, Rui, if those guys start hitting any kind of shots, this could be a series real quick because every game has been pretty competitive. Lakers have been leading at half every game so far, and the Nuggets have just sort of out willed them towards the end of the game. But don't let them get it tonight, Nuggets.
You know who also led every half basically and still got rocked? The Blazers when they went to the Western Conference Finals in 2019. I think it's the same thing with the Nuggets here. I think the Nuggets are going to take this one tonight, unless Murray can't go. Murray is questionable tonight. That changes the whole complexion of the whole series. But I think the Denver crowd, the altitude, barring a ref takeover, I think the Nuggets will get it done tonight because they don't want to go back to LA. And you know what? It could happen. The Lakers could steal it, but my guess is the Nuggets will take it.
The thing that's tough about the Lakers is that they can steal any game. It can happen at any time. It's very unpredictable, and that's both a compliment and a knock on Anthony Davis, especially LeBron less so. I feel like LeBron's played pretty consistently. He just can't do it himself. Obviously, he gets hotter some games than others, but Anthony Davis is very up and down. If he comes to play and has a real chip on his shoulder like he did in the last game, in game 4, they could take any one of these games that they wanted to. I don't think they can win the series. It's very hard to beat a team that's beat you 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row. But
11 times in a row.
yeah, but if they win tonight, that gets a little scarier for Denver. If they win tonight, it might go to game 7, and then anything could happen. But Denver's going to get it done, I think, in the next one of the next 2.
So Nurk's out of the playoffs. Dame's about to be out of the playoffs. Is CJ about to be out of the playoffs tonight? The Hells got their last chance here, down 3-0 in New Orleans. He's got to shoot better. He has been struggling with this shot. I think he started off like 1 for 9 or something like that in the last game. His 3-point percentage has been abysmal during the playoffs. They really need him to show up because BI is not getting it done alone. Obviously, they don't have Zion. The strategy of throwing it down to Valanciunas 15 times a game does not seem to be working. Thunder look good too. They look like a poised young team, very mature. They got the coach of the year on their team, MVP candidate. I I think that the Thunder are going to close it out tonight. That's kind of wild to be that young of a team and be able to do that. It could really go either way. I could see CJ getting hot or something like that in the pellet, but it's been an ugly series so far for New Orleans, and I think the Thunder probably just have too much talent. And they're going to be able to close them out.
Little earlier today, Colton let us know, reminded us that Nurkic has the worst record in the playoffs by winning percentage of any NBA player who's played more than 20 games in the playoffs. You know who has the worst winning percentage for any NBA player with more than 50 games in the playoffs? CJ McCollum.
Wow.
I did that extra little bit of research just for you. So
Riley's Nito stat of the day.
CJ can't win playoff games, not by himself. It's not fair to ask him to. He's not that kind of player. This is a sweep. Get the brooms out. they're losing these games by they lost the first one by 2, but then they lost by 30 and then by 20 something. OKC's only building momentum. This series is over.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I'll own up. I predicted the Pelicans to shock the world and beat the Thunder. I think that losing Zion right before just took the wind out of their sails. They competed hard that first game. They didn't get it. Zion would have changed the entire series. The Thunder didn't have anybody to check Zion, in my opinion. Nobody's got the right makeup to guard him on
It's
that
true.
team. When they lost him, it was kind of over. So I'll take the knock for predicting that, but it would have been a different series with Zion. Thunder take it tonight.
Best series in the Western Conference right now, Mavericks and Clippers tied 2-2. The speaking of what I was talking about earlier with the every game is just it seems like after game 3, I was like, oh, Mavericks are going to the Western Conference Finals. They're gonna finish off the Clip. They're clearly the better team. And then, man, Paul George in the first half, but what really impressed me was James Harden in the second half. In his fourth quarter, he was ice cold. I have never seen Harden play that well in a big game before, just hitting every floater. He was 4 for 5 from 3. Those guys could not miss. I think they shot over 60% from 3. They got it when they needed to get it, and they're going back to LA with a tied series. Luca does seem to be dealing with some legitimate knee problems. That could be an excuse because of his poor shooting, but he does see every time he misses, he does look down at his knee, it seems like. But he was upset with himself. He said he needed to help Kyrie more. This could go 7 games. I could see. I don't think the Clippers are going to shoot that well, every game going forwards. You got to imagine maybe Luka's production will start tipping back up. I don't know, man. It's a crapshoot. I've already flipped on this series. I've already flipped from the Clippers to the Mavs. I guess I'm sticking. Oh wait, no, I did the other way around. I flipped from the Mavs to the Clippers. I think I'm sticking that with that just because I don't want to flip again. Even though I like the Mavericks more. Like if I between the teams that I want to win, I'm rooting for the Mavs, but
Listen, I'm a certified Kyrie hater, but wow,
been good.
Kyrie has been on a mission balling out. That last game was so exciting. The Mavericks storming back, the Clippers fighting them off, Paul George hitting that crazy fadeaway three. That's a bad shot, Paul George. Over the backboard, fade away in the corner. That was incredible. Been a great series. There's been a lot of exciting games with that series. I know that first one was a blowout, but feels like anybody could take it. And it's a coin toss. I did flip as well. I'm still going to stick with the Clippers, but what a good series. The Mavericks could take it.
It's a great series, and it's going to come down to a battle of the knee injuries. It looks like it's seems like the Clippers they need to keep rolling without Kawhi, or at least not playing him serious minutes because he's just kind of a distraction when he's not playing at his full throttle. And they just have enough talent on the team that they don't need him if all he's going to do is take away focus, or take away shots or take away ball time from the other guys. So yeah, you just got to roll with PG-13 and James Harden because they showed that they can do it. And we'll see whose knee holds out.
100% agree with that take. I was thinking the same thing after game 3 that I think Kawhi's presence actually hurt them as opposed to help them. But I think it allowed Paul George to get back on track to maybe kind of like he knew what kind of load he had to carry. It's him and Harden, right? Those are going to be the two guys moving forward through this series at least. So I mentioned Dame earlier, out with an Achilles injury. Team's down 3-0. I don't think we can blame this one on Doc as much as this podcast loves to blame stuff on Glenn Rivers. I don't think he could have done much to avoid this one. Just Achilles injuries all across the board. Milwaukee, I think, is going to have to pack it in and go for next year, where I think they're going to be a contender for the next maybe 2 years. But they have a very short window, and losing this year, it hurts. But like with a lot of these teams, it seems like a lot of times it takes like 2 years for the team to really gel, as evidenced a little bit by like Luka and Kyrie. I think those two will eventually figure it out. They'll probably have to make some trades with the role players and figure some other stuff out. I don't know if I'd get rid of Middleton if I was the Bucks though. But moving on to the Pacers, that's an exciting young team. I'm excited to see them in the second round. They could go all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, looking at the path that they have potentially through the Knicks in the second round, which would be a great series. Fun young team to root for. Halliburton's that dude. I think I picked the Bucks on this one. You guys both had the Pacers, so I'll let you guys take it.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that, I feel for Dame a little bit watching him walk into the arena, limping down the tunnel to go sit on the sidelines to watch another playoff series from the sidelines. It sucks, man. It's like I know that we all have different feelings about the fact that he couldn't get it done in Portland, but yeah, it doesn't look like he's coming back in this series. He shouldn't come back in this series. They say he can't hurt it anymore, that it's just a pain thing. But when you have one injury, you end up overcompensating and you hurt something else. He needs to just sit, wait for next year, give it another shot when they're healthy. Yeah, the Pacers look like a real threat. They've got a lot of size. It's like, and it's size that's lengthy size. They're tall. They play vertically. Um, Very fast moving team. They're going to be a tough one for anybody to match up with.
Yeah, the Bucks get a mulligan, which the one tiny positive with injuries is that it takes some of the heat away from how you play cohesive wise. And you're just like, yeah, we were all hurt, so let's give it another shot. So less of the focus is going to be on can Dame and Giannis coexist, more of it on the injuries, which sucks because it would have been fun to watch Dame and Giannis in the playoffs. Pacers, what can you say about them? They're exciting. They're fast paced. It's going to be interesting to see if another team that's more athletic than the Bucks, who are all old, can slow them down. Knicks are a definite candidate to be able to slow them down if that's the series because they're kind of gritty, grimy, defensive.
That Pacers Bucks series kind of reminds me of the year the Blazers went to the Western Conference Finals. They got the Clippers in the first round, and the Clippers just fell apart due to injury. I don't think the Pacers would have been able to take out the Bucks at full strength, even with the Bucks kind of wavering a little bit towards the end of the season and not having that great chemistry. I think that the star power probably would have been just too much, but they got kind of a bit of a lucky pass, and hopefully they'll be able to do something with that. I think that they have a very nice route to the Eastern Conference Finals because the Knicks look good. Jalen Brunson is balling like a maniac. That series has actually been very good, very competitive. I feel like almost every game has been like really exciting. Um, yeah, freaking Josh Hart, man, 17 rebounds or something like that. Good Lord. His shooting percentages are finally starting to come crashing back down to earth, but he doesn't need to shoot the ball when you got Jalen Brunson scoring 47 on like 30 shots or whatever. Dude's scoring efficiently, diamond, not turning over the ball. They could easily make that Eastern Conference Finals too. I'm excited. I think that they will finish off the 76ers. I think the 76ers just dug themselves too much of a hole. They looked pretty sloppy towards the end of that game 4. Embiid looked tired and hurt and all the things he always looks like when they're not winning, not competing really. I think the Knicks kind of took their heart out in that one. Before that, though, I was up and down the whole time. Like after the Sixers won that game 3, I was like, "Oh, here we go. They're gonna knock out the Knicks." But yeah, I think the Knicks and Pacers should be a fun series if it comes to that.
Is there a guy more ready to get off his team than Tobias Harris on the 76ers? He just, he signed
Tobias
that
Harris
huge
over
deal.
me?
Yeah, he signed that huge deal and the fans hated it from the start. And he just, no matter what he does, he's got to feel the weight of Philadelphia's very hostile fan base on his shoulders. So, Tobias, when it's Cancun time, have fun wherever you go, Detroit, wherever you land.
Just not Portland. Please
Yeah,
not Portland.
if you do, cheap vet,
What Philadelphia fans are you talking about? Because from what I heard, there were more New York fans at the game than Philadelphia fans. And
Oh,
by the way, can I just say, so New York's going to win this series. I think they're going to win it 4-1. And thank God, because I am sick of seeing Embiid on my TV.
length it down
So
the
I'm
court.
kind of a certified Embiid hater. I kind of thought that I had gotten over it because, he's had all these health problems. He's so talented. It was good to
he's
see him
really
come
good.
back. but that dude bugs me. He is so whiny. His play is like dirty, and he you can tell it's dirty because he does it when he's upset and when he's frustrated. And when he gets frustrated, he starts hitting guys way too hard, pulling down on guys' legs, stuff that could seriously, seriously hurt people. And it's time for him to be done for the season so that he can go blink with one eye and try to heal up for next year or whatever. So yeah, I'm glad that he's about done because I'm rooting for the Knicks. They've really cut out a place in my heart this year too.
Yeah, they're definitely easy to root for team. Just like how is that team constructed? I was looking at them the other day and they're not that dissimilar from the Blazers were like 2 years ago with like Josh Hart, an elite point guard, um, you know, a bunch of other like just sort of scrappy guys. Like, God, maybe the
Paul
Blazers weren't that far.
Thibodeau.
Maybe they needed Tibbs. What? Oh yeah. Okay, moving on to the Celtics taking control of that series against the Heat. They are currently up 53 to 36 at half. They're up 2-1 in the series. That game two was very exciting when the Heat went nuclear from 3-point land. But as I think a lot of people predicted, that was not going to hold up for very long. They don't have Jimmy, they don't have their best player. Spo can only do so much, especially against the best regular season team in the league. I was definitely a little worried about the Celtics there after that game too. They kind of looked like the Celtics that I've seen the last few years now. I still think it remains to be seen when they're tested what exactly they do, but I don't think they're necessarily going to get a real test until for maybe the NBA Finals. So
It should be a cakewalk for them. They should walk this series. They should walk the next series. They should have a fight in the Eastern Conference Finals. But if they don't make the finals this year, major disappointment for
I
them.
heard that Kevin Love gave a little motivational speech before this game saying, I don't know how long I've got left in the NBA, guys. This is my shot. And they came out with a bunch of fire tonight and they hit them as hard as they could with the first punch. And then the next thing you knew, Boston was up about 20 to 12. So they're just a better team. They play better basketball. They have more talent. There's just only so much you can do to overcome that with passion and game planning.
shout out Miami fans for holding out against the Blazers, making them really sweat and getting that sweet deal that they wanted for re-signing Orlando Robinson or whatever they did, letting Gabe Vincent walk and all the rest of the players that made a difference in the run last year. Congratulations, guys. Magic looking a lot different at home than they looked on the road, tying up the series, probably maybe at least the series that has the chance to go on the longest. I took the Magic and I'm sticking with them. I think they figured it out at home. They got a lot of momentum. The Cavs look kind of dead in the water. Their offense really doesn't look very good. Kind of reminds me of the way they looked in the first round last year. And I think Donovan Mitchell's splitting here sooner than later.
It's obvious. It's hanging over them. That was the reason I picked the Magic myself going in, and the Cavs look good in the first two games, but the chatter is so strong that Mitchell's leaving. That's got to have some kind of effect on his teammates. They might win the series, eke it out, but I think they'll go home in the next round. And I mean, I picked Magic as well, so I think the Magic will take it in 7.
I think either of these teams are out in the next round. I see a lot of youth on the side of Orlando and a lot of inconsistency on the side of Cleveland. I don't think either one of them are ready for a serious run. I have no idea what's going to happen in this series. It's been like, 20, 30, 40 point games each way just with the home team winning. It very well could go 7. Um, and if it does go 7, I think I'd still have Cleveland.
Yeah, the as the playoffs shape up, I think it's becoming more and more obvious that the Eastern Conference is the Celtics to win. And the Western Conference is about as up in the air as it could possibly get. I have no idea what's going to happen, even in the second round, even in the first round, but the second round of the Western Conference playoffs is going to be absolutely wild. I do think I'm starting to think that whoever comes out of the West, though, they're going to be more battle tested. and they're probably going to win the championship, or at least have a very good chance. I was telling Riley, I think that there's a chance the Nuggets and Timberwolves could be the NBA Finals this year. Those two might be the two hottest teams, most loaded teams right now. Whoever comes out of that series is going to have a real good shot either way. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week to talk more about the NBA playoffs, probably start in the second round. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.